Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Let's Talk Special Economic Zones. I'm your host, Ainsley Brown. In today's episode, we're going to talk about aligning the business model, the physical model, and the governance slash regulatory model of a special economic zone. And we're going to look at it from two different perspectives. One is from the policy or legislative perspective, which is the government side of things. And then third, which is probably the most important part, is the private sector side of things. Um, so both parties have to look at it and align those three things: the the um, business side, the I have to look at my paper. The business side, the physical side, physical design, and then also our physical model and also the governance model. So, quickly, from the government side of things, whenever a zone regime, not just a physical zone, a zone regime is being contemplated or expanded or modified or reformed, you have to look at what exactly is the business model for the government, right? What it could be one that is private sector led or more government led, right? You have to look at the physical design. Will the government dictate the physical designs? Will the government say, you can design anything you want, provided you're within our code? Those things have to be aligned. And the third, the governance model. How will this regime be governed? How exactly, if it's a government-led, the government, potentially owns all the zones and is the regulator and the landlord, or is it one whereby the government has more of a hands-off approach and it's the private sector, and the government strictly acts as the regulator, and allows the private sector to basically govern in the sense of renting out and such and so forth. So that's, from a government perspective, those things have to align and be focused on for sustainable success. But in today's episode, I really want to focus more on the private sector. So depending on which model a government has set up their regime to be, that's going to impact that alignment and what that looks like. So you have to ensure that your business model, how exactly are you going to be making money, right, is aligned to the physical design of the zone and also the regulatory model. How exactly are you going to govern the zone, which has to, of course, align with the government. So all those alignments have to, I guess, come together. So it's very important for the private sector to look at things, or private developers particularly looking to build out a zone. And this, of course, is predicated or premised on that the government will allow this and that it's more of a private sector model where versus the government owning and controlling everything. So when you do your business model and say, okay, I'm going to build my zone and these are the types of tenants I want, and this is the level of rent and occupancy rate I'm going to have, does that match the physical design? If it doesn't, you're going to have misalignment and wastage. And in fact, you may have collapse. You might not even get up off the ground, because backers may walk away because they've noticed that there's a misalignment. Third is, how exactly am I going to govern my zone? How am I going to collect my rent? What are the rules I'm going to put in place? All of that has to, of course, align to the physical space, but also align to the business model. So all three models or all three designs must align. And with that alignment, you will have sustainable success in a zone. And maybe it is that you're looking to acquire a zone, not necessarily start off from scratch and build a zone. But when you're doing your due diligence and reviewing the various financial statements and so forth, you have to look at that. Look at what the company or zone you're acquiring, what have they done? How are they aligned? But then also, how are you potentially going to change it? Because it's not necessarily static, right? So if you're going to change it, you look at, okay, I'm going to tweak this or brand new business model, brand new physical, which again would require capital expenditure, or maybe the physical design is perfectly okay, but the business model didn't quite align with the regulatory model or governance model. So you'd have to look at all three. And when you have those things in alignment, then you'll have sustained success. But also, one thing to bear in mind that these things are not static. Of course, you can, the one that's the hardest to change is the physical model. But that's not static because you can always add or subtract from a building or add or subtract from an entire development. So once you bring those in alignment with a special economic zone, expect continued or sustained success. So if you like this episode, just leave a comment down below, like and share it, of course. If you want to see me do episode on a particular subject, or if you have a suggestion, just leave a comment down below and I'll get right back to you.